All right, 6.1, slope-intercept form. So let's just, again, we should know this by memory. What is slope-intercept form? What's the equation? Y equals, there you go, mx plus b. We've done this a ton now. Okay, a ton. So this lesson is going to incorporate graphing, interpretation of problems, what do they represent in terms of slope-intercept form, and how do you get slope-intercept form a lot of times. So they give an example here. I'm going to skip completely over this. And I want to go to the discussion because we're going to get into doing some of these problems. How can you use the same method to find more points on that same line? How many months will it take Andrew to pay off his loan? So these are the types of questions that you're going to have to answer when you're looking at some of these word problems. It's not just going to be what is the slope. You're going to have to be able to interpret the meaning and look for future answers. So this is where we're going to use the calculator some today. Here it gives you the slope formula, which I expressed over and over yesterday, how much I hate it, okay, and all that good stuff. But let's go right to the your turn, okay? Let's go to the your turn problems here. And we're going to find the equation. Now, it's going to be important here to pay attention to how I do both of these examples, okay? Because, how you work these is completely different. So let's take the first one. If I'm using, again, the equation y equals mx plus b, what is b called again? The y-intercept, which we refer to as the what term? Zero term. Now here's the problem. This is not the zero term. How do I know it's not the zero term? Because x is not zero, okay? X is not zero. That's how I know it's not the zero term. So what I do have here, I do have the slope, but I do not have the y-intercept. So I can't put it in slope-intercept form yet. And this is what a lot of students do. They look at this and they say, okay, my slope's -1, so I put -1 there. I have 2 here for the y, and they put 2 here. And that's not right. What you have to do is you actually have to find the y-intercept. So how do you do that? We take the equation, y equals mx plus b. We plug in values. What is the value of a y here? Well, we have a y, that is 2. So we put 2 in for y. What is m? M here is -1. That's my slope. What was an x here? 3. So I put 3 in for x. Now I have an equation where I can find what b is. So I just simplify this. 2 equals -3 plus b. What do I do next? I add 3 to both sides. So I get 5 equals b. Now I know what b is. I knew what m was because it gave it to me at the beginning of the problem. So now can I write the equation? Yes. Yes, because I have m and b. So y equals mx plus b. There's my equation. All right, so for the next one, the difference in this next problem is, now what do we not have in number 4? They don't give us the slope. Now we just have 2 points. So what do we have to do here? Now we have to find both the slope and the y-intercept. I got to find both m and b. How do I get m? Exactly what I did yesterday. Exactly what I did yesterday. Change in y. What did my y do? Went up by 14. What did my x do? Went up by 2. So what's my slope? 7. Okay. Everybody get that? That's what we did yesterday. That's all yesterday's lesson was, finding rate of change or slope. So now I have the slope. Now I find the y-intercept. How do I do it? I do it exactly the same way I did in problem 3. I'm going to go back, put my equation, y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug everything in. Now, you have to make a choice, though. I have 2 points to choose from. Which point do you want to use? I would use the 1 and 4. And personally, the reason I would use it is because they are smaller, easier numbers. Others I would not use. If I could avoid, I would avoid points that have fractions. I would avoid points that have negatives. Now, does that mean you can always do that? No, sometimes that's all you've got, but if you can, try to do that. Okay, so what is y here? What am I plugging in for y? 4. M is 7. What's my x? 1. And then plus b. Solve your equation. 4 equals 7 plus b. Subtract 7 from both sides. And I get negative 3 is b. So now I have my y-intercept and I have my slope. So now I can write my equation. Y equals mx. And then it's plus b, but because this is a negative, I'm going to write minus 3. And there's your equation. So next, it gives you an equation in slope-intercept form that asks you to graph it. We graphed the other day, and I showed you how to graph using slope-intercept form. So I'm going to with this one. So I'm going to go right to the your turn problems here. Now, remember, another method of graphing is by using the intercepts. One of our lessons was finding the x and y intercept, plotting those 2 points and graphing. But here it wants you to change the equation to slope-intercept form. So I've got to get y by itself. So what do I need to do in number 5? What do I need to get rid of? I got to get rid of the 2x by subtracting. So when I do that, I get y equals, I put negative 2x plus 4. And the reason I do it that order again is because I always think y equals mx plus b. Now, as far as graphing it, could I put it in a calculator and get a table of points? Yes, I could. But if you start learning it this way, it's a whole lot faster. 4 is my y-intercept, or my zero term, or my starting point. So what do? I go on the y-axis to 4, and I put a point. My slope is negative 2. Now really that's negative 2 over 1. So what's that mean I need to do? That means I need to go down 2 and then over 1. There's a new point. Could I do it again?
Yes.
Sure. I could go down 2 and over 1 and get another point. Now, can I draw my line?
Yes.
Sure. Again, you would want to use a ruler here. But there's my line. Now think in context of your equation. What should my line be doing? It should be going down because it has a negative slope. There you go. All right, number 6 is a little more difficult. The reason it's a little more difficult is because you have a coefficient on your y that's not just 1. So the first step is exactly the same. Subtract 2x. But now I have to get rid of the 3. Very good. You divide everything by 3. Now again, in this context, you want to leave your slope as a fraction, okay? So negative 2/3 x, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now what do? I start at 2, my starting point, my y-intercept. Then I use my slope, which means I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3. Very good. Put a point. Now, here's the problem. If I did that again, what's going to happen? I'm going to go off the graph. So what can I do? This is where we talked about, instead of just thinking of it as negative 2/3, you could also think of it as 2 over negative 3. Now, why is that important? Because I could go back up here to my starting point. Very good. Now I'm going to go up 2 and then to the left 3 to get another point. Now, you don't have to. 2 points is all you have to have, but 3 points just helps me line everything up. And then again, you're going to draw your line and put arrows on the end. Okay, so the last thing here is interpretation of a word problem. Okay, determining the solutions in 2 variables. Okay, what do we mean by that? Okay, they give you an example here. We're going and I'm going to go again straight to your term problem and go through this one with you. Okay, so it says identify the slope and y-intercept of the graph that represents the linear situation and interpret what they mean, then write an equation in slope-intercept form and use it to solve the problem. Oh my gosh, what does all that mean? Okay, here we go. First, what do we have in the table already? I have the starting cost, the 0 term. In other words, that's my what? That's my B. That's my y-intercept. Exactly. Okay? Starting point, initial value, starting cost, 0 term, y-intercept, all the same thing. So we have our B here. What do I not have for my equation? I don't have my M, my slope. However, I can find it. All I do is change in y over change in x. Now, in this table, what is my y? Cost. My x or my months, time, okay? So, what was my change in y here? Good, 177, went up. What was my change here in x? 3, okay? 3, my change in months was 3. So I get 177 over 3. Now, here's where I would want to probably use what? Calculator. So you divide that on the calculator. And you should get, what, 59? So now I have my M. So now I can write my equation. Y equals 59x plus 100. Okay, so now let's talk about what they mean. 100 we said was our starting point. In this case, it's our starting cost. In other words, our membership is going to cost us $100. What's the 59 imply? It's going to cost me $59 per month. Per month. So to buy this membership cost me $100. But then for this local club, every month I'm going to pay an extra $59. Okay, that's the interpretation of what they mean. Now, the question asks, what would the membership cost after 4 months? Now, how do I get that? There you go. Go to your calculator. Put the equation in the calculator. Y equals 59x plus 100. Go to second window, your table set. Put your independent on ask. Then go to second graph, your table. It's asking you what would it cost at 4, so you type in 4, and what's it give you for Y? $336. That's how much it would cost you for 4 months. Okay, so you guys are, so page 244, you guys are doing 1 through 27 odd. 1 through 27 odd. This is page 244.